and the sentence that has been given in 15 years, and all the issues therein regards the role he played. Are you surprised? Did you see this coming? Even though he had been given some lifeline of a sort, when he said he was going to make payments, timelines were given, but he couldn't follow suit.
Caesar, thank you. And I must commend you and Ivan. I was at the car park just enjoying. I didn't know my brother Ivan had financial background.
Yeah, he's a finance person.
Wow, awesome. He did justice to that.
Yeah.
And then the audios you played, Atu Asian. You know, I'm also Atu.
Mm-hmm.
So he is Kwame, Saturday born. I'm also Saturday born. So my namesake. The audios you played, he spoke, and at a point I got inspired from what he was saying. But to the issue, I have some few things I've written down. The base of every religion is faith. That's the belief system. I won't go much into it. The business world has its value systems. Honesty, understanding, discipline, wisdom, knowledge, and all that. Why do businesses fail mostly in Ghana when they are Ghanaian owned? How many Christians are multimillionaires? There's a thin line between faith and stupidity. Someone will say that's harsh, man. But I will repeat, there's a thin line between faith and stupidity.
Okay.
Very thin line. Sometimes you may be acting out of stupidity and think it's faith.
Okay.
Sometimes people will also mistake faith for stupidity.
Okay.
That is how come scripture says that things of God are useless or foolishness to those who are carnal or those who are being lost. So I know I may sound that like I've mixed certain things up. Don't worry if you are confused. I didn't come for everybody. Those who are wise will understand where I'm coming from. So let's go into the issue with Atu Asian. A fine brother, somebody called and said they were in school together and he belonged to a group. They called them Krife. For me, the word Krife is fake Christian.
Okay.
But many have tagged it to Christians. Christian fake, Krife. That's where it's coming from. Like Galamsey, gather and sell. And then now it's linked to illegalities. Okay. Good. So, at some point in time in Ghana, our financial sector, there was a crisis that was due to mismanagement and misapplication of funds of the public. You see, when you are a private person and you decide to go into the financial space, you set up maybe a credit union or how do they call it? Those microfinance and those things, anything to do with finances. Our constitution allows, or our laws allows the private people to also enter into that space.
Yeah.
But the moment Ghana gives you the license to operate, because people will bring their monies into it, it no longer becomes sole proprietor or one-man business. It becomes, in a way, public because people's money are involved. So, somewhere in 2016, from 2014, 2016, coming, there were that crisis. Government, under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and decided that, okay, there are issues. We do not want to close down these banks or microfinance and all that, because people also are engaged, people are employed, there are people's money involved. But as is done in most civilized country, I'm using the word civilized country,
okay,
they do not collapse. They rather government supports and decide to go after the individuals who are involved in the misapplication of the funds.
Okay.
So you take them out of that space, but you do not collapse the sector. You support them and ensure that whoever needs to be charged, whoever needs to refund, and you let the laws work. Fast forward. So under John Dramani Mahama, monies were given in support. But you see, some of them, they are owners, including some board members and the CEOs, took the money that government, gave them as support for them not to collapse. They took the money and put it in other businesses. In fact, we also need to understand that banks by itself, they do business. That is how come they make interest. Some by giving loans to individuals who will also in turn do business with the money. Some have already established businesses who need support. Some will also need money to start businesses. The risk factors and the risks involved, they vary. When somebody is starting a business who has never done business, the risk factor is very high. So mostly banks do not support people who are fresh in the business space.
Okay.
But banks will rather support those who are already doing well and who need support to expand. It makes a lot of sense. Sometimes too, banks support those who are also struggling, and they see that you support them to do the right things. Sometimes they even advise that you go for consultancy for people to see why you are struggling and the things you can do to come out.
Yeah.
So all these are part of the space of business. So government supported them. Some of them used the money, put the money into other businesses. If they had succeeded, we wouldn't have been lambasting them. But some of these businesses also failed. You said that Atuesi and my brother is owning so many businesses.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to succeed. So if you see that in the mining sector, it is how do they say it? Doing well, and you can do better. You have a right to invest. In fact, business people are investors. Now fast forward, the new Patriotic Party came into power, and then also saw the struggle in the banking space.
Okay.
For them, the wisest thing to do is to collapse them and merge a few of them.
Okay.
That is the wisest thing Nana Addo, the president, his cousin Ken Ofori-Atta, and those who are involved did. The wisest way. For me, I see it as the laziest and the easiest approach to things.
Okay.
That whenever an institution is struggling, your first thing is to collapse it. In fact, you have a right to do it. It is within your right to collapse it. That is how come they have collapsed 420 institutions. And today, the effect is that many youth are unemployed who engage in that space. Now, there's an interview of Atuesi who is also alleging that somewhere in 2016, Ken Ofori-Atta and Audrey Gadzekpo, who are into enterprise group of businesses, they wanted to buy his bank. Ken Ofori-Atta and Ken, they are all Ken, have also come out to say there's no truth in that. We can let that slide. Now, the issue at hand is that yesterday, Atuesi was in prison, jailed to 15 years imprisonment. In fact, if you separate the sentences, the years amount to 90 years. But he's going to serve them concurrently. That is how come it's 15 years. So we can go into why Atuesi yesterday was put behind bars.
Stealing. That's what the court says.